All over our cities, along our coastlines and across our green and pleasant land, an invisible army is fighting a never-ending war. Their enemy is the filth that we create and the vermin that thrive on it. Welcome to the hidden world of the grime fighters. On Grime Fighters tonight, pest controller Dave cleans out some crocodiles.
The shorter time you're in here, the better.
Litter picker Lou gets a top score.
180!
House clearers Bill and Luke have a lucky escape.
This is what we have to put up with.
And Ratman Pete's on the trail of a wily rodent.
Oh, ma'am, she said there's a rat there with a baby in its mouth. Had a baby in its mouth.
Like cities all over the UK, Wolverhampton has its fair share of problems dealing with the legacy of drug abuse. The city constantly tries to stay one step ahead of the users' total disregard for the dangers posed by leaving their drug paraphernalia lying around, where local residents, and especially children, could get pricked by a discarded needle with potentially life-threatening consequences. Today, council enforcer John has gathered together a crack team to tackle one of the drug users' favourite hangouts in some woods used by children as a thoroughfare between the housing estates and local playing fields.
This area here, it's only a matter of 15-20 yards from the play area. It's used as a drug den for people shooting up. We've got down here, we've got, as you can see, the needles, and it's a nightmare for us to clear up. It's frightening what could happen. One of these kids comes along here and they can get infected seriously by these needles. We're going to arrange for a litter pick, but it's a specialised team that has to come in and remove this type of waste.
The specialist team called upon to tackle the dangers in the woods, and none other than Wolverhampton's proudest litter pickers, Lou and partner Dave, fully protected against any eventuality. Let's hope the lads can rise to the challenge. In Dagenham, East London, Pete, the council's pest controller, has been called to a house by an old lady who seems to be sharing her garden with an extremely unwelcome visitor.
Well, we've got a lady here on the corner, and we've got a rat problem in the back garden by all accounts. It's possible we might be lucky and see something today. All right, pest control.
Oh, thank God for that. You just missed him. You just missed the thing.
Have we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just missed him.
Just missed the rat.
Just missed the rat.
He may have missed the rat's morning constitutional, but Pete's determined to get as much information as possible on the rat's daily habits, and experience has told him the best place to start.
It's always worth asking people instead of trying to go out there and find the rats or mice or cockroaches. If you ask them, they give you a narrow down because they see them all the time. Well, I don't live here, she does. So it narrows my work, it makes my job a little bit easier.
The lady is only too happy to fill Pete in as to what it's like sharing a garden with the wily rodent.
He came along here,
Yep.
crossed here,
Yep.
jumped over there,
Yep.
and went under the shed. His daughter was sitting here,
Yep.
and when I said, I'm sure I've seen something run by there, and she looked and said, oh, ma'am, she said there's a rat there with a baby in its mouth. Had a baby in its mouth. A young baby with no skin on.
On this occasion, the information isn't too relevant, so Pete needs to investigate further himself.
Oh, it's locked. When we seen the rat, I locked it.
The rat has been using the cover of the woman's fence to go out foraging at the end of the garden, probably, Pete reckons, on the litter left by the local children.
We've got a little hole there going out into the fence. There could have been kids gone bought McDonald's, which is only up the road anyway from here. So they've thrown the box down. Of course, the rat comes out. You know what kids are like, throwing it all on the floor, not in the bin. So they've picked it up, dragged it through, and just most probably chewed bits and pieces there.
Now Pete's found the probable food source, he can meticulously evaluate what he's up against.
They're very slow, really, rats, when they run. They sort of arch their back like a ferret, and they're sort of like that movement all the time when they run, and they're sort of scattering. So they like to be a bit like undercover, like an SAS bloke, really, basically. They come out and they just want to be in the sort of smallest gap and work their way through. So they come down here, most probably under the table here, drops down there, makes a little dash to the shed, have a look around, waits till he hears no noise, and then he just ventures its way out and goes somewhere down there.
Pete's got a good idea now of how the rat's operating, so armed with vital clues as to where he's going to lay the poison, he keeps the lady up to speed. But suddenly, from under the shed, the culprit makes an appearance.
That is a big one. Tell by the eye.
With the rat keeping a watchful eye, there's no time to lose for Pete to hatch a cunning plan. In Westminster, the council's zero-tolerant grindbuster Yarno is out on his rounds. For Yarno, after his first discovery of the morning, he's got a bee in his bonnet about private commercial waste contractors who don't do their job.
We'll just have a look at this waste to see where it's from.
With a quick rummage around, it's soon clear that this is no ordinary rubbish.
By appointment to the His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Edinburgh. Very naughty.
Posh packaging or not, it's all rubbish to Yarno, and the perpetrators need to be held to account. Time to knock on a door.
Yeah, it seems that they're closed, so I'll leave this with a warning notice. That will be the end of the story.
But perhaps Yarno's a bit quick to cut and run. He might just try another approach.
Shall I ring the bell? This is annoying.
Oh, hello, good morning. Westminster Council, Environmental Services. All right, yeah. I thought you were closed. It's about your rubbish at the end of the alleyway.
Yeah.
Why is it still there?
I don't know, they collect it every day, don't they?
It's often a surprise to businesses that their contractors haven't done their job, and now they've got Yarno to deal with. Yarno's directed to the front of the shop to dig a little deeper, and he's quick to try and ram home his point.
The problem is a few of your neighbours are spitting fire at the moment.
After a very helpful discussion with the shop assistant, it seems the woman confirms they've been let down by the contractors yet again. Yarno will now have to deal with the rubbish. So Yarno can go on his way happy that this situation's been resolved without the need for a fine, and he's even going to get his council team to clear the rubbish. If you go down to the woods today in Wolverhampton, you'll find litter pickers Lou and Dave togged up and ready to face the scourge of discarded needles, threatening the safety of local school children.
Obviously you could have a young child here playing in the woods, decides to hide here because of his mates playing hide and seek. And the next thing he stood on a needle.
Not only won't the junkies get rid of their needles responsibly, they make the lad's job even more dangerous by hiding all manner of stuff in the trees.
This is the frightening part. They're not always under your feet. They're in the trees as well. They've probably left them there ready for the next time they come down here. But they won't find them the next time, will they? Very good find that, lads. Thank you very much.
The woods may be infested with these lethal syringes, but there's a real feeling amongst the boys working with Lou that they're winning the battle in Wolverhampton.
It's an ongoing battle, especially areas like this, but I do think in Wolverhampton here that we are winning. You know, we've got good people, members of staff really working hard. We go through the night working, we round the clock, to be fair. So I do think standards are improving in Wolverhampton.
In the Cotswolds, pest controller Dave has arrived at his regular haunt, the Cotswolds Wildlife Park. But today is no ordinary day. His quarry may be American cockroaches as normal, but this time they're in with the crocodiles.
You get cockroaches in some of the heated enclosures. Today it happens to be the crocodiles. Unfortunately, she's recently laid eggs. We just have to play it a bit safe. So that's why you guys are going to be outside.
With the help of a couple of keepers, a broom and a bit of wood, the crocs are kept at bay as Dave runs the gauntlet to get to the water feature where the cockroaches reside.
Now we're in, and they'll keep those crocs up there. I'm going to spray these rocks, and because this is where the cockroaches get in.
To us, living with crocodiles is hardly ideal, but to the cockroaches it's heaven.
It is a perfect environment for them. We're looking at sort of 80, 90 degrees in here, and probably 80 to 90% humidity, and it is ideal for American cockroaches.
Applying the insecticide soon stirs the cockroaches, trying to escape the intoxicating fumes.
There's one coming out, gasping for breath. The spray's not going to affect the crocs because one, they're in the water and etc. most of the time, and the crocodiles don't climb, so that the insecticide's up on these surfaces here that are decorative, and it won't last an awful long time in here because of the humidity and the temperature.
The female croc is beginning to get a bit frisky. Could be time to make a swift exit.
We need to get out because the crocodiles get stressed, and we don't want to do that because they're not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but they do suffer from stress. So the shorter time you're in here, the better. We just need to get the male to show himself, and we can get out, or I can get out. These guys have got to fend for themselves.
Now the keepers know where the male is, Dave can make his escape. Coming up in part 2, Pete tries to get one up on the rat, Dave confronts some hornets, Lou's needle nightmare continues, and we're out on the night shift with street flushers Dave and Byrne dealing with their biggest hindrance, other people. Throughout the country, an army of professionals are continuing to dedicate their daily lives to waging war on the nation's grime. At the old lady's house, Pete the pest controller has conducted a diligent survey into the habits of the unwelcome rodent that's taken up residence in her garden. While Pete's in the conservatory, the rat boldly continues on his daily rounds as the old lady offers some more advice.
Now, shall I tell you why they always make their home here? Because it's all light, very light round here of a night. But the big wall shelters that bit off. That's why they always come here, love, because nobody can see and run against that wall. This is the 4th time we've had it.
Yeah.
I can't stand it no more. It's either that or moving.
So the pressure's on for Pete to sort the rat out for good. After all his hard work, Pete reckons that the rat has made his home under this concrete paving stone.
I don't know if anything's there, but if anything is under there, it knows I'm here already. It's got 2 things: either bite you and stay and hold its ground. If it's got babies, you will have a problem. It will stand its ground. What I do is I gradually lift it up slowly. Well, we ain't got a rat, but we've got a frog.
So after all his hard work, Pete's managed to upset a small frog, but at least he's located the hole. So Pete pops in a bag of poison and another one under the shed. The poison is only attractive to rats, so there's no danger to the frog.
Job done. Another happy customer.
I'll be happy when I don't see him no more.
Within a few days, Pete returns to find the rat's taken the bait, and the lady can now at last have her garden back all to herself. Up in Wolverhampton, litter picker Lou thought he'd just about finished the blitz on the drug den in the woods.
That's not for your everyday turkey, that's for burning the drugs.
But he's found yet another stash of lethal syringes only a few metres away.
You've probably got in the region here 10, 20, 30, 40. You're probably talking at least 80 syringes and paraphernalia, of which we'll start now to box up.
But to make matters worse, Lou's seen another problem adorning the tree opposite.
Now, do you know we've got a dartboard here? If you want to turn round, you can see the dartboard in the tree. There you are. Not many double tops there, though. What do you think of that? 180!
So using his special gloves, Lou carefully removes the deadly syringes from the tree. In total, Lou and the boys have recovered over 300 needles and huge quantities of drug paraphernalia on this morning alone. Boss John seems happy with the progress.
Well, now we've removed or most of the needles that we've found, we can get the guys in now to tidy all the litter up and the rubbish that is in there. But hopefully in about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, all this now will be cleared away and tidy.
With their diligent and dangerous work complete, hopefully the school children who use these woods as a thoroughfare to the playing fields can go on their way, pretty sure that they won't fall foul of being pricked by a rogue needle left by the totally irresponsible junkies. For the grimebusters across the UK, keeping our streets free of rubbish and bin bags is one thing, but what happens to the bulkier items like furniture, sofas and kitchen cabinets that people throw out? In Barking, East London, Bill and Luke make it their daily duty to visit the borough's council estates to pick up the bigger items that the residents chuck out of the flats. One of the most common items are mattresses.
I mean, look at this, look. I mean, this looks there's nothing wrong with it. All right, there's a few stains on it, but you wouldn't want to sleep on it though, would you? But there's people that would in garages. Every single day we're doing this every day, 3 times a day, practically 2 to 3 times a day. Sometimes it could go into 4.
Each block of flats has what's called the bulk room for the residents to put their unwanted furniture. But going into these in the estate's garages, sometimes Luke gets more than he bargained for.
I don't mind what's going to be behind his doors half the time, really. Well, it was basically went in the garage as normal, went to lift up a mattress, and basically there was just 2 people laying underneath it. We went to walk out the back to see what else was in there, and not realising there's two bodies laying underneath sleeping. I ran.
Not only are there a few surprises in the bulk rooms, often Bill and Luke's job can be extremely dangerous, thanks to a small minority of the more unruly locals.
This is what we have to put up with. You know, silly things like this. I mean, I've had them spitting out the window, chucking money out the window. You see what happened, he must have slammed the window and it's broken. And I mean, nearly hit Luke. You see there was a couple of inches off of Luke, it hit Luke in the head. You could have filmed him with a lump of glass sticking out of his head just now, you know. It winds you up, yeah. I mean, some people could be nice, so, you know, you get the odd few, same as any walk of life, I suppose, isn't it?
For Luke and Bill, these dangers are an ever-present threat, but as ever, their commitment and dedication to the job is generally much appreciated by the local residents. In the Cotswolds, pest controller Dave has successfully dealt with the cockroaches in the crocodile enclosure at the wildlife park, and now feeling buoyant about his chances with another of God's dangerous creatures. He's come to a house near Stow-on-the-Wold that's home to a huge nest of hornets.
Put the suit on just in cases, and then all I've got to do then is just pull the veil up if they do get a bit leery.
Hornets are about 4 times bigger than wasps, and their sting packs a serious punch. Multiple stings have been known to be fatal, but even a single one isn't that pleasant.
I've only ever been stung once with a hornet on top of the head, and I can vouch for how much that hurts. It lasted a good 8 hours, that one did.
Time now, though, to assess the situation.
They're travelling into a gap up by the joist, up into the roof space. So the best thing to do will be to inject it with some insecticidal dust. That should coat the nest and to get into the entrance. And then as the hornets travelling in and out, they'll carry the insecticide into the nest, and that'll spread amongst them and destroy them.
Rather than using a ladder, Dave's plan of attack is to use the sprayer on a pole to avoid getting too close to the nest.
I'm going to have to drop it quick because they'll follow the duster down. That's what's attacking them as far as they're concerned. That's it, the spot. That's it. I was going right into the nest, I'll bet.
As some of the hornets succumb to the insecticide, it seems strange that Dave can't help but to have huge respect for these amazing creatures.
You look at one under a microscope, it's like it's off of Star Trek. They are an impressive thing. You can't take anything away from them, let's put it that way. They've been doing it a lot longer than we have, and they're still around. Shame they're in the wrong place, but there we are.
It's Friday night in the City of London, and street flushers Dave, Byrne and Chaz are starting another shift. It's their job to not only hose down the city's streets, keeping them dust and litter free, but also they have to respond to call-outs throughout the night to clear away pavement pizzas, human faeces, blood from street fights, and anything else that may constitute the requirement for a strong stomach. But the first job of the night is a bit difficult to find.
First job of the night, we've had a call-out for a pavement pizza in Beach Street on the north side, and we can't seem to find it. I think the police have spotted it and called it in. So we've got to act. We've got to find something, and if there's nothing there, we've got to make sure there's nothing there, because if they come back later and see that it's not been done, we could get a defect, which would cost the company money.
After a few minutes searching, eventually Dave and the lads find a somewhat pale imitation of a real pavement pizza.
We found something that looks like it might have been a sick at one stage. I don't know how long it's been here, but we're going to clean it up anyway. Oh, well gutted. I was looking forward to a big juicy pavement pizza, and all we got is a stain. But maybe next time.
Many true words spoken in jest, but with a little disinfectant, the risk of a defect is washed away. Now Dave and the boys can get on with the real night's work of flushing the streets. But tonight is really busy, and for Dave this is a nightmare, mainly because loads of revellers out on the street can really slow his progress. But as always, he bites his lip.
He's dancing. It's all right, mate. He's doing well. I'm surprised you didn't fall over.
For Dave, it was the solitude of the night shift that was so appealing when he first started.
No, I've never regretted working nights. I prefer it. I really do prefer it. I mean, I'm not good around big crowds of people. I'm not good working around big crowds of people. That's why I like nights. But nights is getting crowded now, so I'll have to do a different shift. I don't know what one.
The solitude Dave craves may be being slowly compromised, but there's always something left on the street to cheer him up.
Yeah, we've just seen a pavement pizza over there, so just over the road, and it's a nice big juicy one, so I'm pleased with that. Just making up a bit of dilute J's fluid. A bit of a smell to this one, because it's fresh. Burton, do you want to try and get all that out with a squeegee? You might need your tongue for that bit up there. Now look at that for professionalism.
With a quick wash and brush down, the pizza's history.
A lot of chunks in it, but it's quite watery.
But to change the mood a little, Dave's night just got more rewarding.
We've got a nice bit of dog turd to clean up here, something a bit different. We like a bit of variation on here, it keeps it interesting. But there's no way to know for sure whether it was human or animal. But the kind members of the public have trod it in a bit. It does make it a bit harder because it's been spread about. Excrement's definitely worth smelling of what we have to clean up.
Clearing the poo inspires Dave to reflect on other highlights he's cleaned up over the years.
The best one, I mean, well, it's not the best, none of them are good. But the one that I most remember cleaning up was a walnut whip. And I just can't imagine how the person sort of done it. They must have had really good hip movement. But that wasn't, I don't remember it for the smell, I remember it for the shape. I remember one pavement pizza we cleaned up was like a blancmange. It was on the edge of a curb. So we went to pick it up and it just fell off and it never fell apart and it just wobbled like a jelly. So, knows what they've been eating.
Highlights from the past give way to the grind of finishing off tonight's duties, clearing a cross grid of cement. Oh, for another memorable pavement pizza. Since the filming of the show, Bill and Luke continue to face some unruly residents, and Dave will be back in a few months to yet again take on the wrath of the Crocs. On Grime Fighters tonight, Restaurant Inspector Andy discovers an unwanted guest.
Call your pest control.
Crime Prevention Officer Vicky hears from the public.
All you coppers are bent.
Environment Officer Dino helps with a murder investigation.
They've never found the murder weapons, which was a golf club and a knife. Maybe we'll find something, maybe we won't.
And Pest Controller Pete serves up a mouth-watering menu.
What we're going to use today, believe it or not, is prime gravy dog food, which works perfect for rats.
All over the UK, graffiti is one of the biggest problems for the nation's grime busters. Councils spend hundreds of millions of pounds trying all different ways to eradicate this scourge on our inner cities. For Darren and his graffiti removal team in Dagenham, southeast London, the fight is relentless. The daily grind of ridding the area of seemingly meaningless tags and scribbles is often interrupted to respond immediately to any graffiti that's deemed racist and offensive. Dagenham Council is rightly proud of its zero-tolerance approach and is committed to getting rid of this type of graffiti within 7 hours of it being reported. What makes matters worse is that on this call-out, the graffiti is outside a local school.
The main priorities are the racist and offensive materials that we get. Even if we're working on a job, we'll try and clear that job up quickly, leave that job and then deal with the racist and offensive straight away.
The first thing to do, as always, is locate the offending article.
We've got a rough idea where it is on paper, it's opposite the school.
It's not long before they find the graffiti adorning a traffic bollard.
We've found exactly what it is, and as you can see, it's not very nice at all. Not very nice indeed. So what we'll do is we'll get this cleared straight away because it is outside the school and I don't want it hanging around.
Darren has an array of chemicals at his disposal, but the first one applied doesn't get a result. Time to raise the game.
It's actually gone right into the plastic and stored itself inside the plastic. So what we're going to do now, we're going to try a stronger chemical, which is designed to go inside and draw it out.
But even the strongest chemicals aren't having the desired effect. Best to resort to the old-fashioned approach.
Well, as a last resort, what we've done here is we've just put just a thin coat of paint over the top to stop it grinning through. As you can see, it's covered it completely now. There's nothing there at all.
In Nottingham, Steve and Vicky, the community protection officers who patrol the city's centre, are also plagued by graffiti. Theirs is a very different tactic, using photographic evidence to try and catch the budding Banksies.
We take photos, we've got hundreds of different tags of graffiti, then basically we've got to actually catch this person in the act. And then if they have got anything in their folders or at home with these tags on, we can link it to what's on our database and then go forward with court proceedings.
It's a bit like a game really. They're out here trying to do this and not get caught, and we're out here trying to catch them. It's a pity they don't take their own advice, isn't it? That's probably aimed at us. because they're aware of the fact that we patrol here, they're aware of the fact that we will be coming down to try and catch them. So it is a game, and with them writing things up there, I think it's just a message to us.
Wind-up tactic.
But it just makes us want to catch them even more, to be honest.
Graffiti is just one of the myriad of offences that the CPOs deal with to keep the centre of the city of Nottingham free from littering, fly tipping and the legacy of antisocial behaviour and drug and alcohol abuse. Just on this morning alone, Steve and Vicky have already dealt with some illegally dumped rubbish, bust a girl for dropping a cigarette butt, recovered some needles, sorted out a car break-in and found time to help the odd person with directions. Time now to catch up with an old friend.
How's it going? Alright.
Yeah, not bad.
Doing a good community job as always.
There's zero tolerance towards begging on the streets of Nottingham, but overnight, some like this guy have suddenly become buskers. That way, they can avoid being moved on.
Anyway, I love you and leave you and have a very nice evening.
You too, take care of yourself.
Well, basically, he's a regular beggar throughout the city centre. Now he seems to have discovered the art of playing the little pipe, so because he can play an instrument, he will be classed as a busker, although we know the underlying alternatives are begging.
It's estimated that there are over 81 million rats living in the UK. That's 1.5 rats per head of the population. For pest controller Pete in Barking, keeping them under control is a continuous struggle. Today, Pete's come to some fishing lakes in Eastbrook, South London, a favourite hangout for his furry adversaries. To make matters more difficult, in this location, he can't use his normal arsenal of poisons and traps to deal with the problem.
We're at Eastbrook. We've got a contract here. We've got rats all round the lake. It's a nature reserve, so we've got to use a live catching trap and not killing traps like mouse traps or backbreakers or anything like that because of the wildlife. That's why we don't use poison. What we're going to use today, believe it or not, is prime gravy dog food, which works perfect for rats. The dog food actually goes inside the trap, and the smell of it, they just go and love it.
Pete is the first person to realise that rats are incredibly cunning and intelligent adversaries. To have a chance of trapping your rat, you have to know how and where he lives and all facets of his behaviour. So Pete's got a trick up his sleeve to help him detect what holes the rats are using.
What we've got here is ordinary flour. When I come to a hole and I want to make sure I've got activity going in and out, basically this is what I do. I tip the flour into my little sieve and then basically sieve it over the hole. And then when I come back to check my traps on the last thing at night, I walk round and I'll do this to a few holes and I should get footprints. If I've got footprints, then I know it's a good place to start placing my baits again.
But sometimes it's just good old detective work that Pete relies on as to where to set his traps.
There's a particular diggings going on here and the actual rat hole is there. If you look inside the hole, how well packed down it is.
This looks like a perfect place to set his trap, but there's other psychological issues to bear in mind when trying to catch the elusive rodents.
Rats are neophobic, which means basically once you alter their environment, they don't like it. It might take 2 to 3 weeks before they actually hit the trap, but sometimes I have come over here and caught them within the day.
Either way, Pete's hoping that the rats will fall foul of his diligent planning. Time will tell when he returns. If there's one way to try and keep our inner cities crime and grime free, it's constantly maintaining their appearance. Once buildings become abandoned and overgrown, very soon fly tipping, graffiti, soliciting and all other manner of antisocial behaviour takes place. These hotspots are often heralded by drug dealers' old trainers hanging off telephone lines. Stand under these long enough and someone will offer you drugs or mug you. In Nottingham, Dino and his Neighbourhood Environmental Action Team, or NEAT for short, makes it their daily job to clear these unsightly areas so the residents can feel more pride and also peace of mind living in the surrounding community.
We're in the Radford area today. Basically what we're going to do, we're going to try and clear up some of these grotto spots, cut these bushes down to stop cars and coming on late at night, drinking, doing a bit of drugs and obviously fly tipping, because as you can see there's a lot of rubbish out and about. Probably got the contents of somebody's garden, obviously a few conifer trees and stuff. There's no barriers or anything to come into the car park, so what they've done is just tipped it off here just try and make the area as nice as possible.
While Dino and the team get stuck in clearing the fly tips and pruning back the undergrowth, their progress is briefly interrupted by the police.
Not found anything as yet. Obviously we've just took the big bushes out at the front, so... Yeah, we took all the fencing away. We've not noticed anything in particular. That was CID. There was a murder here in this vicinity 2 years ago on Boxing Day. And obviously she's seen us tidying up, and they've never found the murder weapons, which was a golf club and a knife. So obviously she's just saying to us now that all the bushes have been cut down, if we come across it, well, we give them a call at the local Nick. Who knows? Maybe we'll find something, maybe we won't.
Whether Dino will uncover the murder weapons remains to be seen, but it just goes to show how crime can escalate in these areas if they're left to deteriorate. In Dagenham, Darren and his graffiti removal team have just arrived at their last racist and offensive job of the day.
We're just going to have a look now in the flats, see what we can find anything.
It doesn't take long for Darren to find what he's looking for.
Right, as you can see here, there's some offensive material there that we're going to remove today, and also there's some there. It is offensive to people, and they don't really want to be seeing that on the wall, especially if you're walking by with your kids or something. You won't want to see that. The guys there are just getting themselves sorted out with their cables and that and chemical. We're going to apply some chemical to it, leave it to dwell for a little while, and then once the chemical's dwelled and took its time to sink in, then we'll jet it off hopefully, and it should come straight off. Right, well, what I'm going to do now is just apply the chemical. Just get a base on there really. Cover the whole lot, and what it'll do is it'll draw the paint into the chemical and allow us to just jet it straight off. We've got a vast range of chemicals in the van, and we'll try the usual stuff, like our usual gel that we use. And if that doesn't clear it, then we'll go on to other chemicals, stronger or milder, depending on what the paint is itself. There's nothing we ain't found yet that we can that stumped us. We normally clear everything.
It's only a few minutes before the chemical starts to do its job.
Can you see it breaking down? It's actually breaking it all down now. All the paint is going into the gel. And that's just a signal for us now that we can actually clear it.
The high-pressure jet wash makes short work of the graffiti. It's obvious that the gels have made it a simple job to spray off. It's another very positive end to Darren and the team's day, keeping a constant vigil against offensive graffiti. Coming up in part 2, Steve and Vicky run into trouble policing the no drinking ban. Pete's hard work seems to get a result. Dino clears the shrubbery, keeping an eye out for the murder weapons. And we're out with Restaurant Inspector Andy in Leicester, discovering a few surprises.
We've got a live mouth under here.
Throughout the country, an army of professionals are continuing to dedicate their daily lives to waging war on the nation's grime. In Nottingham, community protection officers Steve and Vicky are continuing their patrol of the city centre, now enforcing the no drinking ban. It's an offence in Nottingham to drink alcohol in a public place. It causes littering, but most importantly, often leads to antisocial behaviour. Their first offender seems pretty happy to comply.
Hello.
Hiya.
There's no drinking in the city centre, I'm afraid. We're going to have to confiscate your drink off you.
But he's only happy to hand the can over after he's had one last very long drink.
There's no alcohol allowed in the city centre. It's a no alcohol designated area, so basically if we see anybody drinking alcohol, we'll confiscate it from them. I mean, this guy was great, really well mannered. Couldn't have asked for a better person to confiscate from, really.
But perhaps Steve is a bit quick to judge the mood of the alleged illegal drinkers. Their next potential offender is a much more difficult nut to crack.
Excuse me, where are you going? Come here, mate.
Steve and Vicky have observed a guy drinking whiskey on the street, and it looked like he'd poured some of the alcohol into a young girl's soft drink. Right now, all the guy needs to do is stop and give his name and address to the officers, but this situation has the potential to escalate.
Up the face.
Stop
Language.
swearing, otherwise you're going to be...
Right, that's it. The police are going to be...
The CPOs are in constant contact with the police, so if a situation like this arises, they can call for backup immediately.
November Sierra 1428. Yes, I'm on the Market Square. I attempted an alcohol confiscation from a gentleman. He's emptied his bottle, thrown the bottle at my colleague, and now he's refusing to stop and give us details.
Did I throw the bottle?
Is there an officer available to come down and get the details?
You need to tell her, in fact, right. No, did I throw the bottle at you?
You need to stop.
As Steve and Vicky wait for the police, it looks like this could be a lengthy standoff. At the nature reserve in Eastbrook, South London, Pete, Barking and Dagenham Council's pest controller, is back to do his regular evening rounds, checking the rat traps he's set and baited earlier in the morning.
Basically, I've just placed this trap earlier. I'm just going down to check it. It's a prime spot for rats.
But even after his meticulous preparation earlier in the day, this one's drawn a blank. A typical example of how cunning rats can be.
Rats are really funny. You know, you might not see one for about 2 hours, and then the next minute you might see 3 or 4.
Pete has taken an interest in pest control from an early age, but it's taken him a long time to secure the dream job he loves.
I've been doing this job for about 18 months now. I finally got into pest control when I worked at London Zoo. There's a bloke there who's doing pest control, and I got involved learning bits and pieces of him. Finally caught one. As I said, it's coming on in the evening. Rats are very temperamental. You can either have some curled up, laid back, frightened, get some skitsy, running around the cage and all that. 9 out of 10 they're quite calm. Try and not get bit. As you can see, he's come up from the water by the looks of it because he's soaking wet. I don't want to sort of go in there and put my fingers in there and get bit straight away. So what I do is I tend to reach in with a little stick just to lift this handle up. As I see, I lift the handle up slowly. Reach in, pick it up, pull the rat out, as we can see. And here we have one rat.
The rat will be taken away by Pete and dispatched humanely. One thing's certain, Pete's going to need all his expertise, patience and experience if he's going to win the battle against the rodents at the lake. In Nottingham, Dino and his Neighbourhood Environmental Action Team, or NEAT for short, are making good progress clearing the undergrowth around a disused building in the Radford area of the city. It was a hotspot for drug users, soliciting and fly tippers who used the cover of the undergrowth to conduct their illegal activities. On Dino's crew today is John, a rookie, who's only been with the team for a couple of days.
It's alright, it's a bit different. I worked in a factory for 3.5 years. It's a job for the council as well. So you only work for the council, it's a job for life, isn't it?
This new job is a world away from John's other career as a professional wrestler.
4 years ago I got an opportunity to start training for it, so I trained for about a year and then I've been doing shows ever since. About a week I work for the council and a weekend I'm wrestling.
One thing that John's sure to find working for the council is a wonderfully eclectic mix of great characters. He's sure to fit in well. One of the most well-known is Derek the litter picker.
You come to help us, have you?
I want somebody to help me.
Help you? In what way?
Any way they like.
You got any jokes for us, Stacey, or what?
No, not really. It's one big joke being here.
Derek is one of the cleansing operatives. Without people like Derek being on the ground force, obviously reporting all the fly tips and everything, we'd be lost. Well, I'll tell you what, your head's shining that much, it must be picking a lot up. What do you do, polish it every day?
Yes. I go to that barber's and have it cut.
Ah?
About 3 or 4 times a week.
I don't know how you can afford it.
I don't, it's free.
Hey?
It's free. One turn deserves another.
Well, what do you do in turn?
Oh, I can't tell you that.
Across town in Nottingham's city centre, more serious business is on the agenda. Steve and Vicky are still dealing with a rather stubborn alleged illegal drinker, and things are going nowhere.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
if
why
I
we
offered you a
acted.
big enough bribe, yeah. Right.
No, and I resent that, and that's why I'm going to challenge that comment right now.
Whatever. All you coppers are bent.
He's got no grounds to hear these views. I don't know where he's getting them from. Now he just wants to stick around to get on our nerves, basically.
Soon the deadlock is broken with the arrival of a policeman. All the guy's really achieved by this standoff is to alert himself in the future to Steve and Vicky's watchful eyes.
All it would have taken for him to was hand over the bottle and we would have taken his details, job done. But he's made this job a lot larger than what it needed to be.
One of the Grimebusters' jobs that directly affects us up and down the country is the diligent work of the restaurant inspectors who tirelessly uphold the cleanliness and food hygiene of thousands of food outlets and restaurants. In Leicester, Andy, one of the city's team of inspectors, has decided to make an annual routine visit to a local Indian restaurant. There are a myriad of things that Andy will be looking for, but the worst thing to find is rodents.
If we find a lot of things wrong, then we tend to go back and revisit. If we find a major thing wrong, for example, if we've got mice or no hot water, then we would have to think about closing them down.
Leicester City Council award the restaurants smiley faces. A big smile is fantastic, a grin is good, a blank expression is okay, but a frown is a problem. This restaurant had a blank expression last year. They're obviously hoping now to put a big smile on Andy's face.
It's going very well so far. I'd say there's some minor things wrong, but nothing major. But very pleased. So far it's looking good.
So after an hour of meticulous inspection, the restaurant seems to be greatly improved from last year. The owner may even be up for a coveted smiley face. But that is until Andy takes a quick look under a cabinet on his way out.
Yeah, it just needs a bit of a sweep under there. Oh no. I think we've got a problem.
What's that?
We've got a live mouse under here. Call your pest control. If it comes out, I'll hit it.
This is potentially the worst nightmare for the restaurant owner. Even though it seems that the whole restaurant's hygiene is very good, the presence of rodents could result in the establishment being closed down.
Well, I hope we can keep them open, but live mice in the kitchen, it normally means that we have to close them, unfortunately, until they sort the problem out. Before I make a decision, I will speak to my line manager, my boss.
The discovery of this little mouse now heralds a huge mobilisation of everybody involved to sort the problem as quickly as possible. While Andy rings his boss for advice, the restaurant owner calls his pest controllers to deal with the emergency. Within minutes, the pest controllers arrive. Meantime, the offending mouse has disappeared. But after lengthy inspection by everybody, with no droppings found in the premises or any other evidence of mouse activity, the hole is plugged with wire wool and poison is laid down as a precaution. It seems that the problem is isolated to the one rogue mouse. Looks like the restaurant has escaped closure, but Andy will make weekly visits until he's sure the mouse has gone for good.
I don't think there's enough to close it down. There's no more droppings, and the only droppings are down there, so I think we can sort this out, by coming back on a regular basis.
That one mouse has unravelled all the restaurant's hard work to improve hygiene standards and made sure that the award of a smiley face still eludes them. This time, they'll have to make do with yet another blank expression. In Nottingham, Dino and the NEAT team have completed their work, clearing the fly tips and undergrowth surrounding the disused building. There's been no sign of the murder weapons the CID asked him to look out for, but with the team's hard work, now the residents can hopefully feel a bit more proud of their neighbourhood and a great deal safer, as there's no cover for teenagers to engage in antisocial behaviour. John the Apprentice seems to have done okay too.
Yeah, we're just coming towards the end now, and as you can see, it's nice and light again. There's no real areas for people to come and obviously do sexual activities, take drugs or drink in the area. So it's all nice and clear.
Since the filming of the show, Andy has returned to the restaurant on a weekly basis, and so far there's been no sign of any other mice, and Pete is slowly winning the battle against the rats at the lake. On Crime Fighters tonight, Enforcement Officer Jarno is not amused.
Oh dear, what have we got here?
Litter picker Lou is shocked.
Oh, blimey, look at this.
Vince's zero tolerance is paying off.
Time to go home.
And pest controller Dave reflects on his career.
Ever since I've been doing the place, I've never killed anything I wasn't supposed to.
It's Saturday in the capital, and Church Street Market just off Edgware Road is in full swing. Jarno, Westminster Council's one-man grime buster, is in good spirits too.
Westminster!
It's great for him to be reunited with old friends, as the Church Street Market was the beat that heralded the start of his career in waste enforcement for the council.
This is the area I started when I started working for Westminster, and I've worked Church Street Market and the surrounding areas for about a year and a half. It's nice to be back today, seeing a lot of old faces, the people I used to work with.
Saturday is the busiest day of the week for the Church Street Market, and Jarno is out on patrol, enforcing against shopkeepers who throw out their commercial waste in normal domestic black bags.
If I wasn't doing my job, the City Council would be losing approximately £1 million to £1.5 million a year for unpaid waste offences. That's taxpayers' money, so if businesses don't pay for their waste, it's eventually the council taxpayer which will end up footing the bill. We don't want our council taxpayers to pay excessive high amounts of council tax just because people are dumping their rubbish.
The problem for Yarno, especially today with the market so busy, is to differentiate between the stallholders' rubbish, the clearance of which is included in their pitch fees, and the shopkeepers who are illegally sneaking their commercial waste out in the hustle and bustle of the market to avoid payment. But Yarno's seen all these scams before.
Sometimes they do pull a fast one, or they sort of try and sort of persuade me that it's not their waste or whatever it is, but I've been in the job for such a long time and I know what's going on.
So Yarno's up for the challenge. Woe betide anyone who dares to try it on. In the Cotswolds, pest controller Dave has arrived at his first call out of the day. One of his regular haunts, the Cotswolds Wildlife Park near Burford. On the menu today is the usual fare.
Got some cockroaches and some wasps.
If there's one place a cockroach can call 5-star luxury, it's a tropical hothouse, complete with water features, plenty of ready food, and a few friends to share their stay with. These particular ones are American cockroaches, different from the German cockroach, normally associated with infesting domestic housing. But as far as Dave's concerned, the nationality of a cockroach is irrelevant.
There you see, that is a freshly molted cockroach, just hasn't gone red yet. An American cockroach will grow to 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches. These are very small, these are all nymphs. These aren't difficult to kill, it's just that the numbers of them, they'll feed on virtually anything and everything. They'll feed on each other, they're cannibalistic, they'll feed on anything that it needs to survive. That's why they're so successful.
For Dave, the key is to locate where the cockroaches are hiding. Time then to bring out his secret weapon.
This is a camera for getting into the corner so you don't have to move too much stuff about and disturb the birds and etc. You can use them in drains apparently, but I haven't got that far. So there they are. Most successful insect ever, I think. There's some in there, but they've chucked themselves up the back. In these brackets, I shall use a little insecticidal dust. American cockroaches don't take much to knock down.
When using the insecticidal dust, Dave is always vigilant on not letting the dust come into contact unnecessarily with the more precious occupants of the hothouse.
These animals in here are rare animals, so you just want to be as careful as possible with them. So them eating 100 cockroaches with insecticidal dust on them probably wouldn't do them any harm, but I don't want them to eat any. Touch wood, ever since I've been doing the place, I've never killed anything I wasn't supposed to.
For Wolverhampton's proudest litter picker Lou and his constant partner in grime Dave, the continual battle against illegally dumped rubbish continues. But the sun's shining and their first call of the day initially doesn't seem too bad at all. Just the usual smattering of dog poo.
Oh, what we got here, Dave? Dog mess. Well, it doesn't seem too bad at all.
But that's until Lou peeks to see what's hiding over the fence.
Oh, blimey, look at this. Oh, they've had a go again, eh, they?
Behind the fence is a revolting fly tip, obviously dumped here under the cover of last night. Like Yarno in Westminster, before Lou and Dave can get to grips with it, they need to try and find any evidence in the rubbish to hopefully identify the culprits.
Me and my partner here just go a quick nosy round, see if we can find any evidence as to where it's come from. There's old settees, dog baskets, wicker chairs, newspapers, mop buckets. But as we'll clear it up and we'll just have a nose. If we find any envelopes, addresses, we'll hand them into the office and they can probably investigate it.
But with hefty fines awarded to anyone who's prosecuted for fly tipping, the offenders are getting even more cunning.
People tend to these days. They know they can get fined up to £2,000 on fly tipping. So obviously they'll try and remove as much evidence as they can. So that doesn't leave us much to go on.
But what it does leave, however, is the task of clearing the fly tip. And as always, the heavy stuff gets loaded first.
When I came to work for Wolverhampton Council as a litter picker, and obviously emptying the bins in the streets and the lampposts, I didn't realise I'd be moving furniture. If I wanted a furniture job like this, I'd have probably gone to DFS.
For a lot of us, finding this fly tip on the first job of the day would be seriously annoying, but Lou is made of stronger stuff.
It's not annoying, I'm out here, lovely sunshine. It's probably annoying if there was 10 foot of snow and I've got to struggle through that. But as it happened, we're having one nice day this year, and it's today.
In London's West End, the Church Street Market is busy with bargain hunters, and Yarno, Westminster Council's zero-tolerance enforcer, seems to have found his first illegally presented commercial waste, dumped in black bags rather than the council's grey bags, so avoiding payment for its removal.
Oh dear, what have we got here? Sorry mate, no grey bags today. These are yours, yeah? This is yours. Have you got a grey bag for that, please?
The problem for Yarno with all this rubbish about is to identify which is household waste and which is the cafe's.
Oh, it's household waste. Here you can see. Looks like it's household waste. It's got vegetable waste in it, so this is a bag of household waste, that's fine.
But the second bag is definitely the cafe's.
That's his. I'm just going to go in and ask him to bring out a grey bag for his waste.
The owner's not so sure, so it's up to Yarno to convince him.
Sorry mate, have you got a grey bag? That one. Both of them need to be grey bags. Have you got a grey bag? It's yours. Come and have a look. Come and have a look, mate.
Eventually, Yarno coaxes the man out to prove his point.
Here, mate, I'll show you. Here. See, that's yours, yeah, and this one is yours as well. This is not the right bag, mate. You need to have it in a grey bag. I'll bring out a grey bag, and we'll get rid of it.
At last, the guy puts the rubbish in the grey bag, and the matter's closed. But Yarno's had all this before.
He used to be quite persistent in offending for commercial waste. It gets a bit tedious after a while. Some things never.
We've got an aquarium. Just broken, battered glass. Just imagine your children playing here, falling on that. And in the news at the moment, you hear of all this stabbing. You'd stab yourself. That could be a killer. Why are people so irresponsible and leave something like that when they know children can come round here and play? It does make me angry to think a child could fall on this and just think of the consequences.
But Lou's got very personal reasons for his hatred of discarded broken glass.
When I was a young lad and I was playing actually in the churchyard you do when you're kids, and I jumped over this wall and there was a broken bottle the other side, and it actually took a chunk out my leg here, which took quite a long time to heal because it had gouged it out. And that's probably what I always think about when I'm picking broken glass in, that I had an accident when I was a kid. I went to school with children, you know that, don't you? Yes, I did. Everybody thinks I've always been old.
So with Dave and Lou's hard work, the fly tip is eventually cleared. All that's left to do now is clear some of the dog poo out on the grass.
Rather a large size, I wouldn't like to meet the dog on a dark night.
But on getting up close and personal with the dog poo, there's no chance of it turning Lou's stomach.
No, nothing turns my stomach. The only thing that turns my stomach at times is looking at him. Look at him, my old pal. Number one he is there, David, hey? Look at that smile. My team leader, one of the best. He's top hole, I tell you.
Coming up in part 2, Dave has a go at some wasps at a local riding stables. Lou's day gets more grim as he searches for a dead cat. And we're out with Council Enforcement Officer Vince, busting illegal traders and hot dog sellers on a hectic Friday night in London's West End. Throughout the country, an army of professionals are continuing to dedicate their daily lives to waging war on the nation's grime. In the Cotswolds, pest controller Dave has sorted the cockroaches at the wildlife park and has arrived at a local riding stables where they've reported a problem with wasps. The wasps have taken up residence in and around a food store, making their home in the cracks in the brickwork.
They're not too active today because it's beginning of August, as you can see, and tipping down the rain, but we'll soon put them right.
There are 3 nests to deal with. Best to get the 2 small ones sorted first before Dave has a go at the big one. The only way to treat wasps' nests is to use insecticidal dust, which affects the wasp's nervous system and also is easily spread into the nest by the wasps coming and going.
You say there's one coming out all covered in dust there. You see, you know you've hit the spot when you get the white ones coming out. He won't be very happy.
Now Dave's dusted the small ones, time to prepare to hit the big one.
These will get a bit leery.
As well as the pain of getting stung, the problem is that when stinging you, the wasp releases a pheromone that tells the inmates that the nest is under attack, and there's the possibility of thousands of others coming out and joining the fun.
This is the most active of the three. There'll be quite a bit more action when these are treated. These ones on the outside, they're not really going to bother you, but it's the ones that come out to defend the nest that'll have you. Well, you'll know that within a few seconds of treating it. So if I start legging it, you'll know to follow. Right, shall we do it?
After administering the lethal dust, hundreds of wasps congregate by the nest, but Dave's sure that in a couple of hours all the occupants will have been contaminated by the insecticide. Time to make a swift exit before the possibility of any reprisals.
That one's done. That's their year ended a bit early.
In Wolverhampton, Lou and partner Dave are now on their way to their regular litter picking rounds, but there seems to be no chance today of Lou making good progress as he spied a pigeon slightly worse for wear in the middle of the road.
Dead bird here, David. We've stopped now, just looks like there's a dead bird on the road. Obviously, we'll clear it up. It'll save any dogs probably running into the road, try to pick it up and have another kill or something like that, so it won't take us too many minutes just to clear it up.
Clearing up roadkills is a major part of Dave and Lou's daily duties. Whether they're pets or just wildlife, it's all in a day's work.
I know one thing, this hasn't died of bird flu.
Clearing the pigeon may be one thing, but when it comes to domestic pets, it's quite another. To delay the boys even further from their litter picking schedule, they've now been called out to retrieve a dead cat that's been reported by a local resident. But the first thing to do is actually locate it.
The phone call was very vague, so we've got to keep having a nosy. I love animals. I had 3 cats myself once. They've slowly died of old age and what have you. I suppose I'll die of old age one of these days.
Further down the path, eventually Lou finds the unlucky cat.
Here you are, David. Here's the cat. Oh, he does look a sorry sight, doesn't he? This has been dead for quite a while. I think somebody just chucked it here. There's no tags on it or anything like that. What I'll do tonight and the rest of the week, I'll scour our local Express and Star on the lost and found. Somebody may have lost it, and if I find out, and I can probably get in touch with them and I'll tell them where it is. It's sad because it looks like it's a young cat. Now we just get it settled down as nice as we can into the bag. Just tie it up, David.
The cat will be taken in the carcass bag to the local depot, as is the procedure with all roadkills, and it'll remain there tagged for 7 days in the fridge in case anyone claims it. Otherwise, it will be incinerated. Perhaps Lou can now eventually get on with some litter picking. In London's West End, the Church Street Market off Edgware Road is coming to a close. But Yarno is still out patrolling the streets, enforcing against shopkeepers for illegally dumping their commercial waste. Looks like he's got just enough time for one more bust. Finding evidence in the bag of the perpetrator for once is relatively easy.
This is what commercial waste looks like. You know, it's all just bulk packaging from products, probably from a newsagent or an off license. So we'll just try and see if we can get some evidence from these. That's the address. So we'll go in and have a word. Hello. Hiya. I'm Yarno from Westminster Council, from Environmental Services. You haven't used the grey bags? You've got 2 bags outside. You haven't put them in a grey bag. You need to pay for your waste because now no one's paying for it. You've dumped it, you've fly tipped it now. And I won't issue a fine, I'll just give you a verbal warning.
The shopkeeper reckons he's run out of grey bags, so some stickers on the bags normally used for cardboard boxes will have to do. This time Jarno believes that educating the shopkeeper is the key.
When you do enforcement, you'll educate first. I've just educated the gentleman and I've asked him to put the stickers on, and I've reminded him that if he gets too many waste offences, we will have his licence reviewed. Now, he's an off licence, so if that means that if he has sufficient waste offences on the system, it will be taken into consideration when he renews his licence.
All in all, it's been a long and taxing day for Jarno, but at least it's Sunday tomorrow before the whole process starts all over again on Monday morning. In Wolverhampton, Lou and Dave have at last started their regular litter picking round. With all the call-outs today, you'd expect Lou to be somewhat downbeat, but it'll take a lot more than that to dampen Lou's mood.
Hello girls, having a good day? Lovely, eh? Going to home sunbathing or what? You lucky girls. Do you live round here? Yeah. We'll have 2 cups of tea, all right? No sugar. Ta-da! You're going to have a bit of banter with the girls, are you, as they walk by?
With a hectic but very productive day under his belt, it's a perfect time for Lou to reflect on just how the public perceive the career of a litter picker.
They see us picking litter and they probably think, oh, look at them doing that job, I'd never do that. But I enjoy it, I've never looked down on it. I think some people do look down on you, yeah, just because you're a litter picker. But a lot of people also say, what a good job you're doing. A lot of people say, you'll never be able to work. We probably won't be. But this is a good job, and you leave the streets clean, you can walk away, and you're quite proud.
It's Friday night in London's West End, and over 1 million people are out on the streets enjoying the multitude of bars and restaurants. For ex-professional soldier Vince, now one of Westminster Council's enforcers, this is the perfect time to catch illegal hot dog sellers. All over the West End, the hot doggers ply their illegal trade, selling often over 300 hot dogs from one cart alone in an evening. It's a game of cat and mouse trying to catch the vendors actually selling their hot dogs.
There's people called spotters. The hot dog traders themselves are the ones that actually work on the stalls. However, for every hot dog trader, there's 2 or 3 people that are out there looking for us to alert them to our presence so they can make their getaway.
Normally, all Vince has to do is take a good intake of breath to know he's close.
You can smell hot dogs. Sometimes when they've moved away from an area, you might not be able to see them, but you can definitely still smell them.
Vince has to patrol with support from the police as the hot doggers carry small knives to cut up the bread rolls, which could be used against him. The spotters seem to be one up though on the first bust of the night, and they can't confiscate the trolley.
The reason why we haven't taken the trolleys away is that we haven't seen a sale, so no offence has been committed. So that we've told these lot to pack up and move away for the rest of the night. If we see these guys again and they're trading, then we're going to prosecute and seize their trolleys.
But it's not just hot doggers that Vince is after. He'll bust anybody who's street trading illegally, however creative they may be.
Time to go home.
What is it?
Time to go home.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's filming.
Yeah, time to go home, guys. What's happening here? These guys don't have a licence to actually do the portraits.
We want license, you don't give us license.
However, they don't have a licence, so we're actually moving them on to go home.
Whether the street portrait painters want a licence or not is no concern of Vince's, especially now they've caught a hot dogger red-handed.
My colleague has seen the sale, so the hot dog's been sold. So we've got grounds now for the offence have taken place. Therefore, the guy is now going to have his details taken off him, and we'll be reported to city solicitors for the offence of illegal street trading. And when we're dealing with the hot dog traders, you will get people saying, well, what about me? I still want my hot dog. You wouldn't want to be eating one of these anyway. Partially cooked sausages, not kept cold, ready to get thrown back onto the hot plate. There's potential there for food poisoning. Also, look at this way, there's no hand washing facilities on the trolley. So if he goes down and uses the toilet, there's a all point that he can come back up and he'll be next thing you know, be flipping your sausage before putting it into the hot dog bun. I wouldn't want that, would you?
But on busting the final hot dogger of the evening near Oxford Circus, Vince gets the opportunity to point out yet another reason not to touch the merchandise.
Sometimes in here you'll find what does look like to be a bottle of olive oil. However, it's not. It's what they urinate in and actually still keep in the trolleys along with the food.
All in all, it's been a pretty successful night for Vince and the team, with 3 trolleys taken off the streets. In total, Vince confiscates over 500 trolleys a year, proof that all the hard work is slowly paying off. Since the filming of the show, alas, no one claimed Lou's dead cat within the statutory 7 days.